People like to think power is all about noise, the loudest voice in the room, the biggest threats, the strongest fists. But real power, the kind that lasts? No, that's something different. It doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to fight, it just is. And let me tell you something, there's a kind of power that makes the world nervous, makes the wicked tremble, makes the whole system itch. It's not wrapped in muscle, not covered in armor, not standing on a battlefield with weapons drawn. No, it's quiet, still, unshaken. It's the kind of power that kneels when the world says run, stands when the world says bow, speaks when the world says stay silent. Everyone wants to be strong. Everyone wants to be untouchable. They think strength is in the loudest voice, the biggest army, the meanest glare. They think if they can talk over you, they win. If they can outshout you, they're in control. But strength, real strength, oh, it's quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't need to announce itself. It just is. And that drives people crazy. You ever notice how the strongest ones in the room aren't the ones making all the noise? No. They're the ones who sit back, watching, listening, completely unfazed. And that is power. The kind of power that makes people nervous, because they can't figure it out. They can't predict it. They can't shake it. And nothing makes people more uncomfortable than something they can't control. Now let's talk about the ones who pray. The ones who don't scream, don't fight, don't get tangled in the madness. The ones who just stand. When life throws its worst, when the world comes crashing down, when everything is set against them, they don't run. They don't break. They don't react the way they're expected to. And that messes with people's heads. Because everyone else is out here panicking, fighting, clawing to stay afloat, and then there's her. Calm, unshaken. That's when they start whispering, start pointing, start mocking, because they don't understand it. And what people don't understand, they try to tear down. See, they want her to be like them. They want her to lose control, to react, to fall apart. Because if she does, then they don't have to question why they did. If she starts screaming, crying, begging, then she's just like everyone else. But when she doesn't, when she refuses to fall into their trap, that's when the real panic sets in. That's when the mask slips, because now they're not just angry, they're afraid. And fear, oh, fear makes people dangerous. It makes them desperate. They'll try harder, push further, throw everything they have at her just to see if she'll break, just to prove she's not as strong as she seems. But she doesn't move. She doesn't give them what they want. And that's when they realize they've already lost. Because strength isn't about showing off. It isn't about proving something. It's about knowing who you are, knowing where you stand, knowing that no matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, they can't touch you. They can talk, they can mock, they can throw their worst, but it won't change a thing. And that is a power they will never understand. You ever notice how the ones who are truly in control don't have to tell you they're in control? They don't have to shout it from the rooftops, make a big scene, or put on some display for the world to see. Nah, The real ones, the ones with power, they just exist. They don't need to prove anything. They don't need to convince you. They don't need your approval, your applause for anything. It's all about how they move, how they make their decisions, and that's what makes the rest of the world tremble. See, the loudest ones in the room are usually the ones the weakest. Oh, they'll tell you how great they are, how they can take anyone down, how they've got all the answers. They'll shout until their voice cracks, get their followers to rally behind them, act like the world is their kingdom. But the moment things get tough, the moment the fight isn't as easy as they thought, that's when they start to unravel. And you want to know why? Because they've never known what real strength is. They've never had to stand in the quiet, never had to stand alone. Then there's the ones who know real strength, the ones who sit in silence, calm as can be. They're not interested in proving anything. They don't need the validation. They just know that what's coming for them, it won't touch them. Because their power doesn't rely on noise, on reactions, or getting caught up in the drama. Oh no, their power lies in the one thing toxic people can't stand: control. Control of self, and that's where they've got everyone else beat. See, the toxic ones can't stand silence. They can't stand being ignored. They can't stand when they throw their little fits, trying to get under your skin, trying to pull you in, and you just sit there. They don't know what to do with that. They don't know how to fight it, because what they're used to is getting a rise out of people, making them react. It's all they know. It's how they stay relevant. But when you don't play their game, when you stay quiet, unshaken, well, now they're the ones on the edge of their seat. They don't know what to do next. They thought they had the playbook. They thought they knew how this would go. But you just keep sitting there, unaffected, letting them scream into the void. And they can't stay. The thing is, they're so used to being in control, they can't even fathom that someone else might have the upper hand without even doing a thing. But the smart ones, they get it. The smart ones know that silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the absence of reaction. And the moment you stop reacting to them, you stop giving them the power to control you. They throw their insults, their lies, their manipulations, and you just watch them. Let them scream. Let them twist. But you just watch. And they hate that. They hate it with every bone in their body. Because when they can't provoke you, when they can't get under your skin, they realize they've lost their grip. But it's not just about not reacting, it's about making sure you never, ever give them the satisfaction of seeing you care. And let me tell you, to a toxic person, that's terrifying. They need to know they matter. They need to know they've got some effect on you, some influence. They need to be able to pull your strings. But when you don't flinch, when you stand there with a smile and they realize their manipulations have no power, that's when they panic. That's when the cracks start showing. Because here's the deal. People who are truly in control don't need to push. They don't need to fight dirty. They don't need to play the game. They just win by not playing. And that's what the toxic ones can't handle. They can't handle the idea that they're not the center of the world, that someone else is out there standing tall without needing their permission, without needing their validation. That kind of strength, that's what makes them nervous, makes them crazy. And when they realize they've lost, oh, they'll start spinning. They'll start attacking harder, louder, faster, but it doesn't matter. Because once you've figured it out, once you've figured out that their power is built on your reaction, on your fear, on your weakness, then you've already won. And they'll never know what hit them. You ever notice how when life hits you with the worst, the real strength isn't in how loud you scream or how hard you fight back? No, it's in how you stand. It's in how you hold your ground when everything inside of you is telling you to break, to scream, to lash out, but you don't. You know what I mean? It's in the quiet, in the stillness. Because when everything else is collapsing, when the whole world is falling apart around you, and you just stand there, calm and steady, that's when you're untouchable. You see, the world expects you to react. It expects you to fall apart. It wants you to be just like everyone else. When they come at you with their hurtful words, their lies, their chaos, they expect you to snap. They want you to lose it, because when you lose it, oh, they win. That's the game they're playing. But you're not playing that game. No, you're not giving them the satisfaction of seeing you fall apart. Because in the silence, in that moment where you choose not to react, that's when the real power is. And the funny thing is, they don't even see it coming. They can throw all the insults, all the chaos, all the noise at you, but when you stand there, calm and collected, like the storm's happening around you and not to you, oh, they start to panic. They start to wonder why you're not reacting, why you're not shaking, why you're not responding the way they want. They'll try harder, they'll push more, they'll scream louder, but it doesn't touch you. And they can't handle that, because it's not about the words anymore. It's not about the insults or the accusations. It's about the fact that you're standing there, unfazed, unshaken, unbroken. And that's something they can't understand. They think they can break you. They think they can twist your words, manipulate your emotions, make you bend to their will. But what they don't realize is that when you're not reacting, when you're not giving them what they want, you're already in control. The power isn't in throwing the first punch. The power is in standing there watching the world burn around you and knowing that it doesn't matter. Because no matter how hard they try, no matter what they do, they can't touch you. And when they realize they can't get to you, that's when they start to crack. That's when the mask slips. That's when they start showing their true colors. Because when they can't control you, when they can't manipulate you, when they can't make you fall for their tricks, they start getting desperate, they get sloppy, they start making mistakes. And that's when you know you've won. Because here's the thing, people who are used to controlling others, used to manipulating them, used to breaking them down, they can't stand someone who refuses to play the game. They can't stand someone who stands still while the whole world is running around like chickens with their heads cut off. They hate the calm, they hate the silence, because it makes them realize they're not in control. And that's when they start spinning, trying harder, doing whatever they can to get a reaction out of you. But here's the catch, they won't. Because you've already figured it out. You've already realized that the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. You've realized that when you don't react, when you don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you break, they lose. And that's the kind of power that drives people mad. They want to see you fall apart. They want to see you angry, hurt, defeated, because when they see that, they win. But when you don't give them that, when you just stand there, unshaken, unflinching, that's when they realize they've got nothing. They've got no control. And that's when the real damage happens. Because once they realize they can't break you, they start to crumble themselves. They start to unravel. And you just keep standing strong, because that's the real secret. That's where the power lies, in standing firm, in not reacting, in knowing that no matter what happens around you, you are unmovable. And when you're unmovable, well, that's when you're truly free. Oh, how they love their noise. They love the chaos, the drama, the commotion, don't they? You see it all the time. People shouting, people fighting, people running around in circles trying to get attention, trying to get validation. They think that's strength, they think that's power. And it's cute, really, it's cute how people think that the louder they scream, the more important they become, the more chaos they stir, the more they're in control. But let me tell you something. Real strength, it's silent. It doesn't need the spotlight. It doesn't need the cheers or the gasps or the applause. No, the real strength, it's in the quiet. Think about it. You've got the loudest person in the room, don't you? They're running their mouths, putting on a show, saying whatever they think will get a rise out of everyone. And everyone's looking at them, right? They've got the attention. They've got the audience. But the moment that loudmouth stumbles, the moment the show stops, the moment their world starts to crumble, you'll see what happens. They panic. They break down. They get desperate. Why? Because they never had real control. They only had the illusion of it. And once the crowd stops clapping, once the lights turn off, oh, they're just another lost soul, clinging to whatever they can to stay relevant. But the ones who know real strength, the ones who really get it, they don't need the spotlight. They don't need the show. They don't need the applause. They don't even need the approval. What they have is something that can't be seen by the naked eye. What they have is a power that doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from within. And it's in the silence, in the stillness, in the moments when they don't react. Because those moments, those are the moments that reveal everything. You see, when they throw their little tantrums, when they try to get under your skin, when they expect you to scream back, to retaliate, to meet their chaos with chaos, and you just stand there, silent, calm, still. Oh, that messes with their heads. They don't know what to do. They thought they had the game figured out. They thought they could push your buttons, play their little games, and get the reaction they wanted. But you don't give them what they want. And that's when the fun begins. Because here's the deal. People who thrive on chaos, they can't handle peace. They can't handle calm. They can't handle someone who just stands there and watches them self-destruct. They want to see you fall apart. They want to see you lose control. They want you to shout, to scream, to cry, to fight back. But when you don't, when you just watch them unravel in front of you and stay calm, that's when they start to panic. That's when they start questioning themselves. That's when the game shifts. They start throwing more and more. They start pushing harder. They start trying to provoke you even more. But you just keep standing there, unfazed. You just keep watching. And that, my friend, that's when they crack. Because they don't know what to do with that. They don't know what to do when they've given you everything they've got, every insult, every lie, every trick, and nothing gets to you. And that's the true power. The ability to stand, the ability to be still, the ability to not react to the noise, to the chaos, to the destruction around you. The power is in not playing their game. The power is in refusing to get caught up in their mess. The moment you realize that their game has no rules, that their drama is just a mask to hide their insecurity, that's when you understand they've got nothing. And you've got everything. Because when you stop reacting, when you stop engaging with their chaos, they start losing their grip. They start losing their control. They start realizing that their tactics don't work anymore. And the panic sets in. Because now they're not the center of attention. Now they're the ones who have to scramble, who have to fight to keep their image intact. But it doesn't matter. Because once you've figured out the game, once you know that the loudest voice in the room is often the most fragile, well, that's when you win. Without even having to lift a finger. You don't need to shout, you don't need to fight, you don't need to tear anyone down. All you need to do is stand, still, silent, powerful. Oh, it's funny, isn't it, how people think they know you. They think they can read you. They think they can take one look at you and decide what you're made of. It's cute, really, when you see them all looking at you, sizing you up like they've figured you out. And you know what? They probably have. They probably decided that you're weak, that you're nothing more than a punchline in their little game, right? They look at you and they think, oh, this one? They're easy to push around, easy to manipulate, easy to break. But let me tell you something. Those are the people who make the biggest mistake of all. Because what they don't realize, what they'll never realize, is that the most dangerous person isn't the one who reacts. It's the one who they'll keep pushing, they'll keep prodding. They'll keep testing the waters, throwing their little jabs and insults just to see how you'll respond. They want you to snap. They want you to break. Because the moment they see you break, the moment they see you lose your cool, the moment you let your guard down, oh, that's when they win. They think that's the game. They think it's all about making you lose control. But what they don't understand, what they can never understand, is that by pushing, by trying to break you, they're doing exactly what you want. You want them to show their cards. You want them to show you exactly who they are. Because here's the thing. When people are busy trying to get under your skin, when they're busy pushing your buttons, they're not focused on anything else. They're not paying attention to their own weaknesses. They're not paying attention to their own flaws. They're too busy worrying about how to break you, how to tear you down, how to make you fight back. But when you don't fight back, oh, that's when they're lost. They don't know what to do. See, the game's simple. They want you to scream, to shout, to lose your mind. They want you to fight, to give them a reason to hit back. They want the drama. They want the chaos. And the moment you stop giving it to them, the moment you stop letting them provoke you, they're left with nothing. Because you know what happens when you don't fight back? You win, and they lose. But they don't see that coming, do they? They think they've got you pegged. They think they've figured you out. They think you're just going to be like everyone else, just going to be like the rest of the world who's too weak to stand in the silence. But when you stand in that silence, when you don't react, when you don't engage with their nonsense, that's when the game shifts. And you know what happens when the game shifts? They start getting scared. They start getting desperate. They start making mistakes. Because the longer they push, the longer they try to drag you into their chaos, the more desperate they become. They're losing, and they don't know it yet. It's so simple, really. They don't realize that the key to their own destruction lies in their inability to control their emotions. They can't stand the silence. They can't stand the calm. They can't stand not being able to provoke you. And they don't get it. They don't understand why it doesn't work anymore, why you don't give them the satisfaction of a reaction, why you just keep standing there, unflinching, untouched, like they're invisible. And here's the twist, it's not even about them. It's about you. It's about your own power. It's about your own ability to stay calm, to stay steady, to stay in control. Because here's the dirty little secret that no one likes to talk about. The true strength comes from knowing when not to engage. The real power comes from standing in the middle of the storm and choosing to stay still. It comes from the confidence that no matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, they cannot break you. And that's what drives them insane. You see, when you don't react, when you don't give them what they want, you become a mirror. You reflect everything they throw at you, but you don't absorb it. And that's what gets to them. That's what eats away at them. They want to see you crumble. They want to see you bend. But when they can't get that, when they see you standing there, solid as a rock, they start questioning everything. They start questioning themselves. And that's when you've got them. Because the moment they start questioning themselves, the moment they start doubting their own power, is the moment they've lost the game. And when they lose, they start spinning. They start getting sloppy. They start showing their true colors. And you just stand there watching, knowing that you've already won.